The Quran has explained the Bashariyah, or spoken about the Bashariyah, about humanity, in terms of families. He spoke about Al Imran. Istafa Al Ibrahim wa Al Imran ala al-alamin. He chose the family of Ibrahim, the family of Imran upon the alamin. He spoke about families. That the human being, the makeup of humans, if we're going to succeed, the individuals make up families. And the families make up jama'as, or qaba'il, tribes and nations. Nations and tribes. Shu'ub wa qaba'il, made up of families. The block of the family, if it's destroyed, all of society will be destroyed. I challenge anyone to find in history a society that's lasted century after century after century, generation after generation, except that it had a proper family structure. As soon as this breaks down, the entire society breaks down. There's no way of changing Allah's creation. You can't change Allah's creation. There's no replacement to the sunnah of Allah, the way in which Allah made His creation. And so it's one of our biggest struggles is keeping our families together. In keeping our families together, you have the subject of marriage and you have the subject of children. Today, I want to remind myself and everyone, just to go a brief go-over of how we should be treating our children. We can't lose our children. We can't afford that our children hate family, or that our children are let down by our family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a child goes astray, He doesn't ask the mother, why did your child go astray? Before He asked that young man, or that young woman, why, when you were 16 and 17, did you go astray? He asked the father. He brings the father. Wasn't this person, you brought him in the world? By my permission? Wasn't this person in your house? Weren't you the chief of this household? Why did you let down your child? Not give him time? We're responsible. Prophet ﷺ said, if a wife of a man goes out ornamented such that men are looking at her while she walks in the marketplace or wherever she walks. Before Allah asks this woman why she behaved like this, He brings forth her husband. And this man is called Dayyuth. Dayyuth. He's a carefree man. He doesn't care that other men are looking at his wife. He has allowed her to walk in such a way that other men are looking at her, flirting with her, talking about her, knowing her looks and her shape and her form. He calls this man a Dayyuth. Now imagine the qiyas. Make an analogy. If this is the situation of a man with his spouse, with his wife, imagine them with his children. That he has to raise from birth until, as Sayyidina Ali gave us the golden rule, age 21. Listen what Sayyidina Ali said. لَاعِبُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ لِسَبْعٍ. For 7 years, the dominant interaction with your children should be playing. You should be playing a lot with them. Some cultures are backwards. Wallahi, some cultures are backwards. And this is the shahada of the Prophet ﷺ. What can you do about them? Rasulullah ﷺ was playing with his kids, his grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, and other of the children of his household. Some, not all the children are in the Prophet's household were his blood ties, such as Usama bin Zayd. For many years, it was like the Prophet's grandson, even though he wasn't a blood relative of the Prophet ﷺ. They were playing with him, and he was kissing them, and then they would play on his shoulders, and playing in front of the people. Then a man came, and he said, Rasulullah, you play and you kiss your children? And you're a Rasul, you're the chief of the Arab, and of all the people. He said, I have 10 children, I've never kissed one of them. Showing that in his mind, this is toughness. This is manhood. In his culture, this is manhood. That you don't play with children or kiss them. But Rasulullah said, what can I do for you if rahmah is taken out of your heart? What can I do for you if mercy is taken out of your heart? In the Shama'il of At-Tirmidhi, the Prophet ﷺ is described as, if he was with children, the children viewed him as another youth like them, as another young person like them. And if he was with the elderly considered him another elder person like them. That means he spoke to people at their levels. He spoke to them at their levels. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he came upon a woman whose husband and father and brother he had sent to war, to battle, this woman, her children were crying, weeping. And he knocked on the door. He said, "What's the matter?" She said, "Oh, the matter is Umar ibn Khattab." And she didn't know he's Umar. The problem is Umar ibn Khattab. He sent my husband and my father and my brother all out to battle. And leaving us who? Who to take care of us? "So what are you doing?" Umar asked. She said, "I'm just turning rocks and water on the pot so that my kids think we're going to eat until they fall asleep from crying." Umar began to weep. He began to weep. Then he sent his khadim to go get food from the Bayt al-Mal, from the warehouse, the treasure house of the Muslims. Go get food. And he got the food and he cooked it himself in the house of the woman. Then fed the children. Then the Amir said, the Khadim said, the servant of Umar said, "Okay, now it's time to leave. Now that they've eaten, we can see to our other business." He said, "No. We came and we found them crying and hungry. We're not going to leave except that we find them satiated and laughing." So after he filled their stomachs, he played horsey with them. He put them on his back and he walked around the house until they laughed, until they fell asleep. And he took this from the Messenger of Allah. You can imagine Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most noble of Allah's creation, the greatest of the creation. We don't understand what this means. We don't understand the most noble of creation. Do you know how huge creation is? You know how massive this universe is? And Rasulullah is the Sayyid of the Khalq, chief, greatest of all this creation. He put a rope in his mouth, in the middle, a string. Put the string in the middle of his mouth and let each Hassan, with each hand, one hand held one end of the rope and with the other hand held the other end of the rope as if it was the ropes of a horse. And the Prophet had the rope in his mouth and Hassan was holding on his back. And the Prophet's riding and riding around the house. And then Omar walked in. Now, Omar, this is a tough companion. You might think, oh, you don't want to be seen, if you're the leader, seen doing this by Omar. And Omar laughed. His iman was strong enough. He didn't have this machismo culture anymore. He laughed. He said, "What a blessed one that's been ridden." And the Prophet said, "And what a blessed rider too." His grandson Hassan and Hussein that were riding on his back. Ali said, "La'ibuhum li-sab'a wa addibuhum li-sab'a." Then after 7 years, the majority is playing. And children learn and develop bonds by playing. Okay, you don't have to like it. No one likes to sit putting blocks upon blocks all day for 4 hours. And it takes juhud, it takes effort to play with kids. Because they put blocks on top, they do meaningless things, and then they just want to do it again. And they want to do it again, and do it again. And the Messenger ﷺ has a sunnah about this. How is he described when it comes to playing with his kids? He would not stop until they stopped. And many times you say, okay, that's enough. We've done it 4 times already. We've done the same thing 15 times already. No. The Prophet never stopped playing what the kid was playing until the child himself got tired of it. Think about this. Until he got tired of it. Now, for the next 7 years, age 7 to 14, أَدِّبُهُمْ لِلسَّبْعِ. That means you're still going to play with them, but the majority of your interaction, you will be teaching them adab. Now, what is adab? Adab in the Arabic language means 2 things. Number 1, it's manners, mannerism. How to sit for Jumu'ah, how to sit for Salah, how to sit in a dux, how to talk to your elder, how to treat your neighbor, how to be clean, how to treat your mother and father. All this adab, it must be completed by age 14. 7 to 14. If by age 14 a child has not been taught basic manners. Right? What to say to someone, how to look someone in the eye when they're speaking to you, and when not to look someone in the eye. Authority figure, when an authority figure is upset. All of these things, how to have respect, occur between age 7 and 14. Adab also means literature. Literature. And the link is that the more educated a person, in the main, the more polite they are. It's very rare you come upon an educated man who's rude. It's very rare. So there's a link. You teaching them literature, adab, their knowledge, seeking knowledge, they should be learning, and they're also learning manners. This is the majority. Now this sets you up from 14 to 21. 14 to 21, what's next? Sayyidina Ali said, صَاحِبُوهُمْ لِسَبْعٍ. Then be companions with them for 7 years. Suhbah. Suhbah. What is suhbah? It's just being with them. Be with them. They should be with you. They should learn adult life. They should learn this life. Stuff, money doesn't come on trees. There's work. There's responsibilities. There are all these things that adults have to do. They should be trained in this. Unfortunately, today you have 30-year-olds who doesn't know how to pay a bill. You have 30-year-olds still living in the basement. Goes to college, studied political science, then moved back in with his parents. Never was taught what it really takes to survive in this world. That you have to do grunt work. That whatever it takes, you need to cover the costs of this household. How are you going to have a household? Our future generation, they're in trouble. There's economic crisis that we caused by our own hands because of the corruption in our financial ways in this land. Who's going to teach them this? صَاحِبُوهُمْ لِسَبْعٍ. Show them how working people live. I'm telling you, these universities, they're good for nothing. These universities are good for nothing. They're sucking your money up without giving your kids any skill. Give me someone out of 4 years of college. Ask them, what is your skill? What can you offer humanity? What can you do to justify someone spending on you $50,000 a year and salary? Most people say, well, it's nothing. You have to take it upon yourself. Show them trades, skills. This is part of deen. Why? Prophet ﷺ said, كَادَ الْفَقْرُ أَنْ يَكُونَ كُفْرًا. It could be, poverty can even be so bad, it could lead someone to kufr. Poverty is so bad, it could lead people to lose their iman. Whoever has been jobless, okay, you know how bad it is when you're unemployed. You feel that the world is caving in on you. If you set up your children for this, you've done them a disaster. If you set them up to be jobless, and many adults, wallahi, they set their kids up to be so fluffy and to study fluffy things in college and never to have an internship or to interact with people who work, you're setting them up for failure. And then when their iman drops and their self-esteem drops and their future looks bleak, this is your fault. You need to set them up for this, especially if they're boys. Because the Sharia has put wajibat, fara'id upon boys, of nafaqah upon their future family. And they have desires. They need to get married. And they need to have a job in order to support a wife. And on this subject, Rasulullah ﷺ said, if you have a good man, and you're the father of a woman, do not turn him away for his poverty, or just because he doesn't have a job. This is a hadith sahih. Don't turn him away. سَوْفَ يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah will make them, He will give them the rizq. Don't turn a man away. If he doesn't have a skill, then yes, you have nothing to do. But if he has a skill, he's done his job. Now he just needs to find a place to employ that skill. Don't turn people away just because at this moment he doesn't have a job. He could have a job today and lose it tomorrow. It's the skill that he needs to have and the will to work. قُلِ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ. قُلِ اعْمَلُوا, say, do good deeds. But it's also اعْمَلُوا عَلَى دَاوُدَ شُكْرًا. Do work out of gratitude. People should not be too arrogant to do grunt work. hard, lowly jobs. It's so important, this subject, because faqr, it can be poverty. It could lead to kufr and loss of iman. You don't want your children to lose their iman. Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib, he was the Sayyid al-Zuhad, chief of the Zuhad. But sometimes he would enjoy something nice, like sweets and cold sweet drinks. And the Zuhad, the ascetics, the people who do without dunya, they don't have dunya, they don't have much, they used to say, Ali, ma hada, what's this? He used to say, لِأُخْرِجَ الشُّكْرَ مِنْ قَلْبِي. Because when I have something nice, it brings gratitude out of my heart. When you set up your kids to have a good life, they're going to be giving shukr. They're going to be thanking Allah and then you. And their iman will be in a better situation. So this is the principle of Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib. لَعِبُهُمْ لِسَبَعٍ أَدِّبُهُمْ لِسَبَعٍ صَاحِبُهُمْ لِسَبَعٍ. Then at the age of 21, if you have done all of these things, then what can you do? ثُمَّ اطْلُقُوا الْحَبْلَ عَلَى الْغَالِبِ. Then you can let go of the reins in most cases. In most cases, this system works. Then you can let go of the reins. خلاص. أنت رجل وهو رجل. He's a man and you're a man. You've raised a man. You built the bond for 7 years playing. He loves you and trusts you. You taught him adab and knowledge for 7 years. He knows knowledge of sharia. He knows knowledge of respect and adab. He has adab. He can interact with people civilly. He won't offend people. Then you've taught him the ways of the world, how this world works. For 7 years. Understand, look, son, there's something called bills. We have to pay them. You see these lights that we turn on? We have to pay them. So then he has a concept that stuff costs money. He has a concept of going to work. Then at age 21, he's a man. You have raised a man. You've raised a man. Today, you have, for 7 years, mom is feeding him, spoon feeding him. For 7 years, he's playing video games. And for the next 7 years, he's chatting on his cell phone and tweeting and doing stupid stuff. This is the youth of today. You need to change this. Prophet ﷺ, I close with this. He encouraged us so much. Do not scar your children with too much yelling at them. Do not scar them. And if you scar them with yelling at them, then cover it up and heal it with laughter, smiling, and enjoyment with them. We have to do this. We can't scar them. Someday, we may wake up, and this kid is 17 and 16, and he hates our guts. Then we're going to regret it. Have a lot of mercy. It's a balance. Our tarbiyah is balance. It's between teaching and setting the trunk straight, but it's also feeding it water and nutrients and that which it loves. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala. So many struggles for the movement, but as many mashayikh are teaching us today, the biggest struggle is happening in your household. The biggest struggle is happening in our households. So many bad negative influences, and if you're in charge of a household, it's your job to cut these influences and gauge them. Make sure Shaitan is not educating your children in your own house. Kids watching TV, do you know what they're watching? Kids watching stuff on their phones, do you know what they're watching? Chatting with people, exchanging pictures with people, do you know what's happening? Are you afraid of them more, or are you afraid of Allah Azza wa Jalla? Would you allow them to eat poison? People check what's in their refrigerator, and they're very cautious that you eat 3 square meals and that you don't eat junk food. You got to be cautious of what's going in their eyes and their ears and their brain and their heart as much as what's going in their stomach. We have qalbul haqa'iq. People care too much what's going in your stomach. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you're not eating junk food. But there's junk tarbiyah happening in homes. I'm telling you, this is amana. Psychologists from this community I took shura with him. I asked him questions. Before the age of 12, if your kids are on these little devices, he said it is poison. Tell your community to tell them to stop. Cold turkey. It's poison for the brain. This is not kitab and sunnah. This is hikmah. This is hikmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, oh, Ibrahim alayhi salam prayed, oh Allah, send my offspring, a prophet. Yatlu alayhim ayati. He recites upon them your words. And he teaches them the book and the sunnah and wisdom. Which means what? We have wisdom. Not everything is between halal and haram. There's wisdom. The Prophet ﷺ said, the wisdom is the lost beast of the believer. Wherever he finds it, he should take it. He didn't say wisdom is in the kitab and the sunnah only. No, there are certain things that come outside the kitab and sunnah that we have to absorb. Hikmah. One of these things is this. If your kids have these, I'm telling you up to age of 12, it's poison for the brain. This is physician's speech, not mine. It's dangerous. It should be reading books, interacting in other ways. It's not good for their brain. I'm telling you this as an amana. We have to be careful, and at the same time we have to be latif. We have to be very gentle, and not come off as someone who's a hated figure. This is balance. Al-targhib wa tarhib. Fear and hope. This is our deen, is all fear and hope. Our struggle is in our homes. It's in our homes. Leave off all of this politics. All of this politics and bombing and seeking power and all of this nonsense. All of this is nonsense because our homes are not even in order. This is wallahi al-azim nonsense. All of these wars and this politics and this what have you. It's a bunch of nonsense. The struggle is in your homes first. And if we can do that, then it's in your neighbor's home and your friend's home. Then you give them support in this. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم ارحم المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم ارحم المسلمين في كل مكان. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. Oh Allah, we ask you to forgive us our sins from last week. From this Jum'ah to last Jum'ah, oh Allah, wipe away everything wrong that we've done. We ask you, oh Allah, and we are your guests in your house, that this be the Sa'at al-Ijaba, O believing men and believing women. Open your hearts to Allah. Know that He's watching you. He's listening to you. And He wants to give you. He's waiting for you to ask. And Allah never tires from your asking. So ask Him what gives you hum? What gives you anxiety? What are you seeking in this life? What is your problem in this life? Turn to Allah at this hour in His house. This may be Sa'at al-Ijaba. Allahumma fastajib lana ameen. Allahumma astajib lana. Allahumma astajib lana. We ask, O our Lord, give us a nur that will be a guidance of right and wrong. From this Jumu'ah to next Jumu'ah. We ask you to purify us, clean our families, and make our families strong, that we can arrive at your doorstep on the Yawm al-Qiyamah and meet your Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa huwa anna rad, while he is pleased with us, pleased with our effort, pleased with our struggle, and that you enter us all into Jannat al-Firdaus. And let none of us fall into the sakhat, into the anger and the ghadab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, make us all the people who please you and make you happy. Make us a community that sticks together upon Kitabillahi wa Sunnati Rasulihi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The final dua, we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make more beloved to us nobody more than Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Oh people, love your Prophet by learning about him and knowing about him. Please make dua for the newest member of our Jama'ah, Hassan Kadavik, son of Sami Kadavik, just had a baby boy. Please make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes him a salih and makes him strong in this dunya and in the akhirah. And take the book of Allah biquwwah And be like Hassan, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, calm in his demeanor and upon the guidance of his grandfather. And may Allah raise him up to be a good youth, give him a good spouse, and give him good offspring. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. Surah Al-Kahf will be recited after Jumu'ah.